But the key, if you want it in general Midi standards to be able to play it on a standard keyboard or pad controller and it be mapped out automatically like it would be if it was a general Midi file, is you need to follow these Alright, hey guys, Mitch here with the TheAudioDabbler YouTube channel, and I'm going to take a look at Reslice and using Reslice as a standard drum machine. So basically what I've done here is I've imported a drum file or an audio file that is nothing but individual samples that I triggered, and I used BeatHawk to create this. But how I created it was I made sure I triggered the drums in the order of general Midi. So C1 was the bass. You can't do B0 because the way Reslice maps, it starts out on C1. And so if you started with B0 for an acoustic bass or something like that, then it would start on C1. And so whenever you do it, you got to start on C1 on note 36 and then just create a sample of each one and then paste that into a single audio file. I'm still working on exactly an easy way to do that. Probably a DAW would be the best, so something like Cubasis or Aria. I'll play around with Twisted Wave to see how easy it would be to paste in a single file. It would be nice if it was multi-track, maybe the multi-track DAW, or even GarageBand, anything that you can paste, make a single file of 1 to 32 samples and export it in order to get it into Reslice. But the key, if you want it in general Midi standards to be able to play it on a standard keyboard or pad controller and it be mapped out automatically like it would be if it was a general Midi file, is you need to follow these general guidelines as to what notes to lay them out, or the order. So you'd go bass drum, side stick, acoustic snare, hand clap, electric snare, all the way down to however many samples you wanted to do, up to 32, because that's what Reslice will do, 32 slices. So hopefully that made sense. I did it with BeatHawk, but you can kind of tell right here. Hold on, let's see. You can kind of hear the residual tom drum from the previous note, and so I should have spaced the notes out a little better. I should have spaced my Midi out a little more, so that way whenever I was creating the single audio file, that it would not have the bleed over. But the good thing about doing it in Reslice is you've got pretty easy way to do choke groups. And what a choke group is, if you're unfamiliar, is it basically mutes whatever is in that choke group when one note is played. And so if I play this, and you can kind of hear it snuffing it out. And if it wasn't in there, like this, you hear the hi-hat is, the open hi-hat is continuing to play while I play the closed hi-hat, which is physically kind of not possible because of, just the hi-hat would actually be closed, and a physical drum machine, it would snuff it out. Or not a physical drum machine, a physical drums, a hi-hat when it's hitting the closed position is going to snuff out the open hi-hat. And so that to get that natural feel, they set up choke groups, and that's how that works. One thing that I was just thinking about, this is a side note. Well, two side notes. Somebody else on the AudioBus forum had mentioned to just load up a bunch of Reslice audio units and just have one sample per slice and be able to trigger it that way. That would work. Or Mr. Developer here, Mr. Jonathan, would it be possible to be able to trigger the file player with a note, be able to set up a Midi to trigger it, kind of like a sample? That might be kind of cool, in these options down here to add another little option to trigger with Midi, and so that way it would trigger, and then you could just load up 16 file players. I'm not sure if might be a resource issue. I'm not sure how much the file players actually, how much resources they take up. But that would be kind of interesting if you could load up, 16 or 32 file players and have them mapped out on a keyboard, and you could just make AUM its own little drum machine that way, and be able to add in the effects, and you could just have a whole loads of fun triggering MIDI notes with the triggering samples with the file player. So I don't know if that's possible, but anyways, hopefully this helps someone with Reslice using it as a general MIDI drum machine. It's possible. You just got to make sure that the notes or the file is set up and the samples are in the order that general MIDI would be, and then Reslice will map it out perfectly whenever you map it 16 or 32. So thanks guys for watching. I do have a Patreon account if you're into that kind of thing. Patreon.com/TheAudioDabbler. If you're into that sort of thing. If not, just continue to like, comment, and subscribe. Share my videos on your favorite social media site. Really helps out, and I will talk to you guys later.